ሄርሜላ ምንም ኢንትሮዳክሽን አያስፈልጋትም እርግጠኛ ነኝ ሁላችንም እናውቃታለን ግን ባጭሩ ሄርሜላ አረጋዊ በሎስ አንጀለስ የምትገኝ ትውልደ ኢትዮጵያዊ የአሜሪካዊ ዜጋ ነች በዩኤስ ዋነኛ የሆኑ የሚዲያ ድርጅቶች ማለትም እንደ ሲቢኤስ ሎስ አንጀለስ አልጀዚራ አሜሪካ በኒውዮርክ የሚገኘው ናው ቲቪ እና ወጣት ቱርኮች ወይንም ያንግ ተርክስ ተብለው ከሚታወቁና በተመሳሳይ ከሚዲያ ድርጅቶች ጋር በአዘጋጅነትና በዘጋቢነት ሰርታለች። በጋዜጠኝነት ሙያ በአጠቃላይ ከ10 ዓመት በላይ የተሳተፈች ሲሆን በትርፍ ጊዜዋ ደግሞ የማህበረሰብ አደራጅ ሆና በመካከላችን ለትውልድ ሀገሯ በማገልገል ትገኛለች። ሄርሜላ አፍሪካን ደጋፊ እንዲሁም ከአፍሪካ የመነጨውን ዓለም አቀፋዊ መሰረታዊና የመላው አፍሪካን ውህዳዊ እንቅስቃሴን አጎልባች የሆነውን የሃሽታግ ኖ ሞር እንቅስቃሴ መስራች ስትሆን ይህንን በተመለከተ ለበለጠ መረጃ ለማግኘት የምትፈልጉ ወደ ንቅናቄው ድረገጽ nomore.global ለመሄድ ሁላችሁም ተጋብዛችኋል። ከዚህ በመቀጠል ሄርሜላ በግጭት ዘመን የአፍሪካውያንን ውህደት ፓን አፍሪካኒዝም እንዴት ማሳደግ እንችላለን? How to foster Pan-African unity in times of conflict በሚል ርዕስ አጭር መልእክት ታቀርብልናለች። Hermela, the stage is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Rahel. That was a really sweet introduction. I appreciate it. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for inviting me, and it's great to be on the panel with all of you. I'm going to keep it fairly short, like Rahel said, but I'm just going to stick to my expertise, I guess. Just in terms of, I'm seeing some patterns with people just in general in the community, kind of going back to being very reactive on social media to certain news that comes out, certain videos that come out, and it's creating conflicts, it's creating conflicts within. And so just, this is what I've learned through being very reactive in the beginning, right? And then coming to find out that there was a lot of things that I didn't understand or that were being used, and it's to be expected in an insurgency war. There was a video that was put out today that journalists Froini, Sadik, and Addis found. I don't know who the person is. Someone said he was a general, but I didn't recognize him immediately. But it was a Zoom recording that looked like it had leaked, and he literally was saying, now we're going to have them fighting each other. That's what we're going to do. And he's talking about the Amharas and Oromos. And he said they're already doing it. So not to say that this person has power, but we've seen the beauty of fighting this conflict is it literally looks like a repeat of something that's happened before, right? So everybody already knows kind of what the tactics are. But while everybody knows, I think people are forgetting in this time and falling into certain traps. So, I'm all for different conversations, but certain conversations I think may be best to have offline or in private. I think our unity or our fracturing is something that they are absolutely watching. They're waiting to see if there's a hole. The last time there was a hole in terms of us being silent, as in no more as a whole, and having some issues around HR 6600, they were punching hard in different ways. So they look for these moments, and we already know how the Western media operates, but I think I'm now also learning there's local media and YouTube media that is being very irresponsible. They're putting out videos that aren't real. When there was this issue at Addis Ababa University where it looked like it was manufactured between the Amhara students and Oromo students. Some of them weren't even really students. They'd come from the outside. And there was some video going around saying there was a shooting at the university, and it was dark video. It was clearly not a university. It looked like it was in the middle of nowhere, but people shared it. So it's just to be very careful about the things that we're sharing in different spaces. I don't react to any singular video that people put out about some weird act that's going on, someone being burned or this or that, because I don't know where it's coming from. I mean, it's obviously it's wrong. Do we have to say it's wrong? I mean, the people that actually usually want me to react, I know, are on sort of the TPLF side. And why do they want you to react? So that you can affirm what has happened, and what has happened is something bad, and it's usually has an ethnic element or a religious element or some other layer of divisiveness that's besides the actual act. So I think we're in chapter 2, at least for me, in terms of this conflict. And this part might be a little bit more complicated because it's less black and white, but it's just really important. I mean, it's such a critical time. Things can change at any point. And so I really have come to believe that at least on the surface, at least online, at least, in terms of what the US and other policymakers can see, if we could have a united front, regardless of what the criticisms are of the government. And this is probably not something I need to tell anybody in this room, but, I've also learned to not hyper focus on one person. So of course, Abiy Ahmed's prime minister, but does he have full control of everything? No. So anytime something happens and there's criticism, I think this hyper focus on him is also a little bit dangerous. You notice that's what the US does when it wants to demonize a country. It doesn't say Ethiopia, it doesn't say Russia. I mean, it kind of says that with them, but in general, they or Syria, they say Assad, Putin, Abiy. So that's intentional, so that you're not talking about like a larger issue, and they don't have to say more except just paint this person as whatever it is they're trying to do. So let's not use that same tactic that they use and flip it on ourselves. Just language matters. I mean, as much as we can, if we can actually just talk about the government, the system, as opposed to one person. And then just going through a couple of notes. We are getting, reorganized again, which is great. I noticed that the Europe, Ethiopia, Defend Ethiopia teams look pretty organized. So we made Telegram groups, for them. And I think most everybody in here is in a city or area, but since you guys already look like, at least you have Twitter accounts that are country based. So if you could populate those onto the Telegram as well. Twitter is really great. And I think those accounts are also really good, but you could get taken down at any point. So it would be great to have a place where we can communicate. That's everybody, as many people in there as we can get. And we are doing a lot more independent media. I'm finding so many places that get it, that aren't the mainstream media outlets, but that have a following and that are doing anti-imperialist work, more Pan-African work. And so in terms of media, we can also expand. I mean, there's a lot of people that I think are capable of going on different places and just explaining things from their scenarios. So if you feel like you're a good talker, don't hesitate to reach out to those places. Mainstream media, I mean, I just think it's a waste of time, but if you have contacts that will put you on there, I just think the best thing you could do is almost just not give them that space at this point, since they've kind of died down, at least in terms of, CNN and New York Times, not as much. And yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's just the biggest thing. I notice now that of course, CPLF is still an issue, but now that there's more to be focused on, there's like a regression in terms of how we handle the media that we're getting, the news that we're getting, and how we're reacting to it online. And it's like now there's like the TPLF is within the community. And so it's, there, we saw I didn't understand it as well then, but we know like in the 3 years before the prime minister got into his position, or in the 3 years after he got into his position, there was all this different ethnic violence, and it was just, they made it seem like it was just happening with no real cause. And obviously they were the ones that were coordinating it. So with that in mind, even though it's so enraging that so many people are getting hurt or killed and the government's not able to protect them, of course it's enraging, but we have a lot to lose. We have a lot to lose. And, you know, they're really bad. I don't want to downplay it. You know, life lost is a life lost, but it could get worse. And I think that's the one thing to keep in mind is as bad as they are, it could get worse if the US gets to drives through certain policies, and they'll only do that if they see that we're fractured. I believe that they'll only do that if they see that we're fractured. I'm sure they're really annoyed that they haven't been able to get as far as they wanted to so far. So they're looking for that window. And I think that's just the biggest thing, I would say, in terms of navigating the news and all the you know, bad news sometimes that we're getting. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. ይቅርታ ዘላለም. Thank you, Hermela. I know it's very early in Los Angeles, and thank you for getting up early to join us today, and thank you for your presentation. Thank you. Over
Thank
to
you. I
Zalalam.
appreciate it. I guess I'm dismissed then. That's good because I want to nap. We're doing actually a fundraiser worthy of noting for Brad Sherman's opponent, who we think has a good chance. I'm not a statistician with this stuff, but we think she has a good chance. We really like her, super genuine, elementary school teacher running for the first time, but she has a Bitcoin community behind her, some other endorsements that are very big. So we're doing a fundraiser for her today. We actually already did and raised a whole bunch of money, met our goal. So that's our target. I mean, Sherman's out of control. So I mean, you know, there's a lot of efforts that we're trying to, a lot of fronts we're working on. Thank you.